This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'm delighted to be joined by Matchroom Boxing CEO Frank Smith here in Las Vegas. Frank, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Glad to be in Vegas. It's the last of, this is my 5th week in America, and it's just similar to you. Get home next week, but big show coming up first.
Right, certainly kind of on a long stretch of a minute. You mentioned you're looking forward to get home. Before we do come on to the interview, Foo Fighters, mate, how was it?
Foo Fighters, I've got to be honest with you. I only learnt last night that Dave Grohl is the front man of Foo Fighters. It was, if you're into Foo Fighters music and know the songs, then it would have been much better. But as a show, it was amazing. So I was lucky to be there. But I'm going to go and learn some Foo Fighters songs because I haven't got a clue.
So you're going to be singing them in the shower later?
Yeah, I mean, I've forgot the words already. But they're the songs that you hear and you go, I know that song. And you go, I didn't know that was Foo Fighters. That was it, basically.
Frank, away from the enjoyment of watching Foo Fighters last night, obviously we're here for one reason only, Devin Haney, Joseph Diaz and the rest of that card. How much pressure is that on Devin to produce somewhat of a stunning performance, simply on the back of George Kambosos' comments that he wants to face whoever impresses him the most, whether that be Devin, Tank, Loma next week, even Teofimo if he returns and fights before George does, he said he just wants to face whoever impresses him the most. How much pressure is that on Devin to look good tomorrow night?
I think even before that, though, Devin puts his own pressure on him. We saw he had a great performance against Jorge Linares earlier this year, back in May. And, he needs to go in there. He knows he's got to go in there and do the same thing again and get a big win. I don't think, he would have been watching, obviously, the Kambosos-Lopez fight. It was a great fight. And he'll want to follow up and create his own performance, not because George Kambosos wants him to do it, but because he wants to go in there and do it. So, he'll always have that pressure on his back. I think, what is he, 24 years old? Devin Haney, and what he's already done in his career. So, he's going to go in there and tough fight, but he's going to go and get the win.
Is this a personal fight for Devin because of a little bit of animosity which has grown as the week has progressed between himself and Jojo?
I think the animosity's been there for a while, even back on social media before the fight was announced. It was going back and forward. And maybe that, what fights have we seen where he's had that, really, Devin Haney, since he's been with us anyway? I don't think we've really had any with that fire that's been set there. So it's going to be interesting how he reacts, with the personal side, as you say. And yeah, it picked up again today, didn't it, at the weigh-in? They had the last few words. So yeah, let's see. But tough fight for him.
You've obviously got Tank fighting tomorrow night as well. Like I say, Loma next week. How great is it to have the lightweights all fighting in and around a similar period? Because regardless of promotional status, it gives somewhat of some hope that even if Devin doesn't fight George, he may well end up fighting a Tank or a Loma, whoever it may be. But they're all within the certain time frames to be able to do so.
Yeah, 100%. Look, the fight we want to make is obviously the Devin Haney George Kambosos fight. We can truly crown an undisputed. Whether there's always going to be the argument around it, but let's clear that argument up. Let's make that happen. But great time for the division, as you say. Lomachenko back next week as well in New York. Always great to see him fight. Tank tomorrow night not tomorrow night. Well, Sunday. In LA as well. So, I think the big fight out there is Devin Haney against George Kambosos, and then go from there. Let's try and see if we can make that happen.
I'm interested to know, Frank, because I know when you have every event which comes up, you go and visit the venues, you check everything out, get everything set up the way that you want to, and something you're heavily involved with in the build-up to fight weeks. Let's say you go to Australia. Eddie spoke openly that he wanted to move into Australia next year, but with what George has done, and how much more of a role he might have to play now on potential Matchroom shows, how much of a difference is there in terms of the level of a show you plan to put on now? So pre-Kambosos win against Lopez to what could be now in front of 80,000 fans, a potential George versus Devin fight with an undercard with the likes of Ebony Bridges, potentially Tim Tszyu amongst others.
Look, our business is staging events wherever that is in the world. We promote close to 50 boxing events around the world. We promote 500 sporting events around the world a year. So for us, scale of events is, it's what we do day in, day out. So from what we were maybe planning of going into Oz, and hopefully, if we can make the Kambosos fight against Devin Haney, it's going to be a huge spectacle. But it's what we do. we've done it in Saudi Arabia, we've done it at Tottenham Hotspurs, we've done it at Wembley, we've done it at Dallas Cowboys, we've done it. We do it all around the world. So from that standpoint, quite comfortable really. That's the easiest part about it. The tough part is actually trying to make the deals happen between all these people in boxing who don't always want to work with each other. But ultimately, the sport's in a great place, and hopefully we can make the big fight happen and put on a massive show, because that's what that fight deserves—a huge spectacle.
Away from those guys, just touching on some of the other people on the undercard, Filip Hrgović returns. El Animal did an interview with him yesterday, and I said to him, "Do you mind doing it?" Well, I asked him, "Do you mind doing an interview, Filip?" And he said to me, "You sit down. I don't stand up." I was like, "Whatever you want, mate. I'm not one to argue with you." He was actually in good spirits, though. The only thing which is frustrating for him is the entire IBF final eliminator situation and how long it's been dragged out. Granted, Michael Hunter pulled out previously, but moving into next year, provided Saturday night goes to plan, are you confident that he'll finally have something on the dotted line to be able to get a fight in place and then look towards the world scene?
Yeah, 100%. We've got to make the big fights happen for him now. He said that in the press conference. We've been pushing and pushing. People just don't want to face him. Filip Hrgović is everyone knows what he's going to bring. And next steps, as you said, IBF final eliminator, get in there, do the job, and then it's an interesting time for the heavyweight division, isn't it? Because we know there's so much going on with the top guys that he's not far off now from his chance. Next year I think win that, and then some big fights out there, some big names, and I can understand his frustration. We're frustrated as well because we want to get him the big fights. We want to make the biggest fights possible, and we'll push hard, especially with Nissa Sauerland and Wasserman, to make that happen next year.
Zhilei Zhang was the name which was mentioned afterwards. He actually told me, Zhilei told me himself that he wanted. It's very confusing. He told me himself that the Filip Hrgović fight was one which had been mentioned and they'd had open discussions. Eddie, after the fight again, said, yeah, they're discussing it. Are you confident that's the one to happen next?
Look, that's a fight we're definitely looking at. Both guys fight under the stable. One we're going to try and push hard, but loads of opportunities out there in heavyweight boxing, and like I say, the key is just make a big fight for Filip Hrgović and for Zhang as well. He had a good comeback at the weekend. He had a good finish there, and he wants a big fight as well now. So our aim is to try and get maybe that over the line, if not another.
Montana Love obviously makes his Matchroom debut tomorrow night. What do you expect to see from him, Frank?
Maybe I'm wondering whether the dog's going to be in the ring during the fight, or it will sit outside in the corner. Really excited about him. He had a great win on the Jake Paul card recently, and it's going to be a tough fight for him as well. It's not a walk in the park, this fight, and it'll be good to see what level he's at. It's the first time I've seen him live, and he's a great character. He's got everything that goes along with it, and he's got to go in there and deliver now in the fight. So looking forward to that one.
There are some great names in the 140 division, Frank, but of course he has ambitions to become a world champion. It's pretty much well known. Josh Taylor, after Jack Catterall, if he's successful, will just move up and vacate those titles. Is the plan just to wait on Josh, or have you got another route towards him getting a world title opportunity?
I think, as we know, things change daily in this sport, don't they? And as you say, if Josh is going to have that fight and then move up, that frees up all of those belts and lots of opportunities for a lot of 140 fighters there. So let's see how things play out on that front. I think for Montana now it's about getting those experience fights as he steps up a level, so he's ready when those world title opportunities do come.
Frank, just a couple of other topics to get your thoughts on before I let you go. Eddie confirmed to me earlier that whether it be brief conversations, as he put it, there were initial talks about the potential step aside for AJ to do so for a Fury Usyk undisputed bout. Just get your own thoughts on it. Do you think we will see him step aside, or do you still see AJ Usyk 2 taking place?
Look, AJ has always shown that he wants the real fights. He wants to fight Usyk, but as he said and as Eddie said, if it makes sense and it makes sense for Anthony Joshua, then for sure we'll look at it. So let's see how things play out on that front. Ultimately, we want the biggest fights in heavyweight boxing. AJ's always shown that. So let's see, how things play out over the coming weeks.
Moving away from that, you must be a happy man when John Fury doesn't come for you, Frank.
He's never. I don't think he knows who I am, which I'm quite glad about, to be honest. I like that no one knows who I am, because then angry people who want to beat me up don't know who I am. But yeah, they can go after. He's not happy with Eddie, is he?
No.
What's he said this time?
Well, not recently, but a few days ago he said he wants to bury him. I'm sure you've seen
Bury
that.
him?
Yeah. So he wasn't happy with Eddie's comments about John's involvement with Jake Paul and Tommy Fury virtual press conference thing that was taking place back in the UK.
Bury him's probably a bit far. Maybe a little jab, or a little right hand would be all right. But I saw the press conference. I'm not going to say anything about it. I thought,
It was the best press conference you've ever seen.
I mean, everyone's had their opinion on the press conference. I agree with everyone's opinion on the press conference, and please don't come and bury me.
Frank, we'll leave that then. I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. I know you've got other stuff to do, so I appreciate your time as always, and thank you for speaking to me in Boxing Social.
Thanks, mate. Good to see you.